Okay, so as I promised that I'll share a little bit about the Mission Diocese of Imphal, let me begin by saying I'm from India, and any Indian, so sometimes this morning somebody came up there and said, "Are you sure you're from India?" Well, I'm not sure anymore after that. Maybe for many that may be true, because actually I have hardly seen any other parts of India except the region of the Northeast India. That's where I come from. It's a small state in India called Manipur, which is located right at the international border with Myanmar. Earlier it was called Burma, right? Burma, or Myanmar. And of course, the Diocese of Imphal, which covers the entire state of Manipur. So one state, one diocese. Let me give you an idea of the place, the diocese, the people out there from the very village community that I come from. And then maybe you will have some kind of an idea what I'm talking about the people, about the place out there. First of all, you know, we live in clusters of small villages, practically perched right on top of the hills in the mountainous region of the Northeast India. And well, my village consists about 500 families or households. So that's about 2,500 population of people. The good thing about my village is that we are all Catholics. The whole village is Catholic, which is great. Praise the Lord. Because that's not the case. That's not the case with many of the villages out there in the diocese. We are still a small minority. Talking about the people, well, we are not poor in the sense of, you know, not having food to eat or having no shelter and things like that. In fact, people are quite happy, quite contented in their own way. Simple, hardworking. They are very hardworking people. Practically, they work in the rice fields throughout the year. They work hard, but just produce enough for their sustenance. But by and large, people are happy-going people. What is or what could be surprising to you is that to this date, for example, my village, we do not have a public link road to the village. We have to walk a distance of at least 5 miles to reach the nearest public transport if we have to travel anywhere outside the village, of course. No electricity, no power supply in the village. Students, children have to study still under hurricane lamps or candles. Back in my days, we used to study under pine oil lamps, which made from the pine trees, which I did it all throughout my schooling, of course. No water supply in the village, and I don't see anywhere in the near future having some kind of water supply in the village. No way. No public health care center whatsoever in the village or around the village. The nearest public health care center that we can access, a doctor or a nurse that we can access, will be at least 50 miles away from the village. And of course, that too after walking a distance of 5 miles to the nearest public transport. And no televisions in the village, which I know you will be quite happy about that, because you have them too many out here. Anyway, this is just to describe the living conditions out there. But you know, when we talk about the church, about the faith out there, it's quite encouraging. For example, my village embraced Catholicism in the year 1956. That is to say, my own parents were the first generation Catholics in the village. And me, you know, I also happened to be the first priest to be ordained from the village. That was 15 years ago. Today we have 7 priests from the same village. That's not bad. That's not bad from a small little place like mine. In fact, the 8th one is on the line to be ordained in December. But this is true. This is true for most of our tribal villages in the Diocese of Imphal. In fact, Catholic faith came to the diocese only in 1952, the first Catholic baptism ever in 1952. So that's about 60 years of Catholicism in the diocese. And the diocese was established in 1980. Today we have about 100,000 Catholics in the diocese, 47 parish centers, with 150 priests working in the diocese. Of these, 80 of us are of indigenous origin. That's, of course, one just like me. The other priests, they are also all from India, but they come from other parts of India as missionaries working in the diocese. So this is just to say that the church, well, is relatively young, new, it's growing, it's active, lively, and people want to know more and more about the church, about our faith, and all that. I wish some of you could come and have an experience of our mission, of the church out there. You're most welcome, especially young people. You're most welcome to come and have an experience out there. I can take care of you. I'm in a parish out there. You can come and spend as much as time you like to. Let me just share a funny incident in my life, and then maybe you can actually visualize the actual life situations out there, particularly in the rural villages. You know, at about the age of 10, I went to school for the first time in my life. But the following year, I stayed back home because it was my turn to babysit my small little brother, my 5th little brother, so that my elder brother could take his turn to go to school. We were 11 siblings. And of course, the following year, again, it was my turn to go back to school and for my brother to stay back home. Well, we could not keep on the merry-go-round going between two of us. We were also growing in age. And actually, my big brother never, ever again saw school. That was the last time he went to school. Okay, so you know which boy got lucky, right? Yeah, and I can tell you, I never went back to babysit. So that's why I'm here. But this is true even today for many, many of our boys and girls, particularly from rural villages and from big families. We are only grateful to the church. The church is doing wonderful work for our people, particularly those in the interior, rural villages, unapproachable areas of our society. We are making every effort to reach out to all these places with all the resources, with all the possibilities we have in hand. In fact, in the past 30 years, since the inception of the diocese, we have been able to open 47 parish centers. Every year, we try to open at least one new parish center. And this is our biggest challenge for the mission, for the diocese out there. I say this because every time we open a new parish, it means we also have to open a school, at least a primary school, and boarding houses for boys and for girls, and a dispensary with a nurse sister to meet the basic health care in the parish. This is so because every parish will have at least 10 to 15 villages attached to the main parish church. For example, the parish where I am now, I have 16 villages attached to the main parish church. And these villages are of distances from 15 to 25 miles away from the main parish church. And of course, children, the students, have to come from all these villages to the parish school for their education. Well, they couldn't be coming every day from their villages to the school, to the parish school. And that's why also the need for boardings, both for boys and girls. And we have, every parish will have at least 100 boys staying with the fathers and equal number of girls staying with the sisters. And so actually when we made the request, when we asked for help, support, every little contribution that you make will actually go towards building up these basic structures in the parish, whether be it boarding, whether be it a dispensary or school or church. And sometimes, you know, even what you may even consider an amount of $10 or $20 as small here will come in a big way for our work, for our mission out there. And even crucial. I say crucial because we still depend heavily on your support. We need your support. And that's why I'm sharing these little experiences out there to let you know what our problems are, what our difficulties are, what our needs are out there. So that when you think of supporting, when you think of helping the missions out there, you know for what, for whom, why we are doing this. And that's the only reason. And I have absolutely no doubt about your generosity. In fact, I'm being told, Deacon have told, and all others have said that we have very, very generous people out here. Our parishioners are very, very supportive of the missions. The proof is that your pastor himself is out in the mission trip. So I have nothing more to say. He himself is an example out there looking out for the missions. And so, as I said, I have no doubt about your generosity in supporting a one-time contribution that we ask for the Mission Diocese of Imphal. From my part, I can only assure you that every single dollar that you put in today will go a long, long way to helping out many, many people out there. The fact is that I'm myself a beneficiary of such generosity of the missions out there, which is built up by the generous people like you. Okay, I have to remind you one. Deacon Jim had told me to remind you, and this is what he told me. Tell the people, because sometimes we forget. There is a second collection, and the second collection will go towards the Mission Diocese of Imphal, for which I represent. And in case some of you are not able to make it today, you can do it in the coming weeks or a coming week. And if you're making a check, you can write a check to St. Simon and Jude Parish. But at the memo, you can put it for the Mission Corps or for the missions. And I know the parish here, they will take care of that. So once again, in the name of my bishop, I sincerely like to thank all of you for your active participation in the mission effort of the Diocese of Imphal through your prayers and also through your generous contribution that you make towards the Mission Diocese of Imphal. I have one more request to make. You know, our blessed Lord says, the harvest is rich, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send more laborers into his vineyard. You know, today I'm a priest standing here, and if I'm a priest, many, many people have helped me to reach that point. And in fact, towards my last 4 years of my seminary formation, I was assisted financially by a family here in the United States. And of course, I'm always grateful to them. You know, after my ordination, my first assignment was to the Diocesan Seminary as Dean of Studies. And again, till May last, I was in the seminary as rector of the seminary. And so I've been, for a long time, associated with the seminary formation. And I've known the seminarians, their problems, the difficulties that some of our seminarians go through. We have many seminarians wanting to continue their seminary formation and hopefully become a priest one day. And fortunately, some of these are denied of the chance just because they are not able to support themselves financially. You know, I used to call myself a handful of rice priest. A handful of rice priest. I don't know what that even means. You know, when I joined the seminary, my parents could not pay my seminary fees. But my good pastor one day called my parents and told them, you have to contribute something towards your son's formation in the seminary. Anything. Contribute something for his formation. And you know, from that day onwards, my mom, every single time she cooked her rice, she took my share of one handful of rice and kept in a container. And at the end of every single month, she took that collection of my share of rice and gave to the pastor. And that was all my contribution towards my formation to priesthood. And today, I'm a priest. And I can tell you, I feel worth more than a handful of rice. Yes, I do. I do feel worth more than a handful of rice. But I think that came because of the little sacrifices my mom made. What I want to say is that when it comes to supporting, promoting vocations to priesthood and religious life, I think we can all make little sacrifices. I was going to tell you or ask you that in your case, with $1 a day, you can actually bring up a seminarian in this part of the world that I come from. And I can assure you, you will not be sorry for it. You will be happy, you'll feel blessed, and you'll be proud of yourself for being able to accompany someone to the altar of the Lord. I'm making a request. I have a kind of a seminarian support form. I'm just leaving it at the exit of the church. As you go out, you can just pick it up, have a look. I'm quite sure some of you will be inspired to help some of these seminarians who are in need of some financial support. And if you decide to do so, we have a priest here helping us to coordinate here in the United States and New Jersey. And if you decide to help, we will assign you a seminarian through him, and then you will be able to accompany the seminarian concerned. May God bless your generosity.